All right. If I had to do this over again, I would just buy the Marmot that is already fully built in the showroom and just use this to go get the rare materials that are in Zone 2 in order to build it. Because this is a pain in the butt. Hello, fellow Endos. My name is Rob, and this is another episode in the tutorial series for Starbase. And today we're talking about adding mining lasers and other things. So this is the starter Marmot. It already has the plates and everything else, and the wiring already done for these upgrades. There is a bit more to it, and we can go into that in another video. I did record myself putting some of this other stuff on, but we did go ahead and add some more radiators to keep the ship from overheating, because that mining laser, man, when that thing's on, it eats power. And we went ahead and added some more generators to the build, and did a bunch of stuff with that. So if you want to know how to do this, we can talk about it. But I will say that it is by far much easier, much easier to go ahead and buy the upgraded version of this ship. So use this ship to mine the materials to buy the upgraded version of this ship, and then you have a ship that you don't care about losing in PvP space. So let's talk about these mining lasers. They all take the same amount of materials to build. So let's go ahead and look at that. First of all, you do need this piece right here. You do need the device hardpoint in order to put a device onto it. So if you have a ship that doesn't have a device hardpoint, you're going to have to add that. You're going to have to do all the wiring for it, making sure you have data and power and all that good stuff. So this ship is just easier to slap these things on. And again, I would just suggest upgrading. But we're going to talk about how to do this. So if you're into shipbuilding or anything else like that, you can do it yourself. These are all of the parts that you need to put one of these together. And once you have this body and this mount together, they all pretty much are the same, right? So you can see this mount and body, mount and body. So these parts are the fixed weapon mount 2. You can also use the turret mount for this as well, the tool turret mount. But I prefer the fixed since these don't actually need to move, so I just bought some of those. You have the utility tool body, and you have these utility tool and rare cannon capacitors. You need all 4 of these to make the body that the tool then slots onto. So you can put these together on the ship, or you can put them together and then put them on the ship. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we're going to take this, we're going to snap it in here. We're going to go ahead and make sure that all these bolts are attached. And then we're going to go ahead and slap in the capacitors. All right. Very fun. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure all of those are bolted on too. Got it. And then we can either just slap these all on the ship and then attach the heads. So if we put this here, we just need to make sure those are bolted. If you heard 4 bolts, it should be completely secure. And then once all 3 of these are assembled, you can mix and match with the heads. So we're going to go ahead and slap this on here and bolt it on. Oh, only 3 of them went. So let's just do the 4th one manually. Boop. There we go. So you do the 3 bodies. You can see all the bodies are the same, and then you just attach the tool to the front of it. So I did all 3 of these and then attached all 3 of these tools. And these are the material point scanner, the mining laser, and the ore collector. So once that is all bolted together, if you manufacture this, I have noticed a bug with the ore collector. So if we go ahead and open our data section of the tool, that's this right here. And the way this works is you click on the data tab, you close this back out, you point at the thing you want the data on, and then you open it again. And if you have a ore collector that does not have collector and power right here, it is bugged. So for some reason, the way around this bug is to launder this shit through the auction house. So if you list this item on the auction house and then buy it again, somehow it miraculously fixes this so you have both fields. If it doesn't have both fields, it doesn't work. And every one that I manually crafted myself only had collector on it, did not have power. But then when I put it on the auction house and took it back off the auction house, it miraculously had power. So who knows? I don't understand why that works the way it works, but it works. So just so you know, you're better off just buying one of these instead of crafting it. They're not that expensive. And then we can look at some of the other things here. These data fields are very important, and we're going to talk about those and why they're important in a second. But we also need to add the buttons for these things. And the way the buttons work is they have to have the same name as the data field. So if we look at the mining laser, we see that there's two fields here. By default, this is going to be called something different. I just named it laser. It's going to be called mining laser on. You can shorten it to whatever you want as long as the button says the same thing. And then mining laser beam length, this goes up to 20. It does not go past that. So 20 is the maximum range you can get on this mining laser. So we'll close this out and we'll go up to the control panel, and you can see I added a few buttons to kind of match how the original ship was. So we have the mining laser. I just made a title card here. So if we want to look at what these are, you can click on material and you can see this is a progress bar 24 by 48, and this is a simple button. And I also added the two things for the scanner, which are the hybrid button and the text panel. And in the settings for these, you can change their colors and stuff. We'll talk about that right now. So what did I need for the mining laser? Really, you just need the button. You don't need this plaque, but the plaque is helpful in remembering which button is which. I also added a radiator panel here that tells me how hot the radiator is getting. And you can see you just have to name the data fields. The stupid blue thing here. Anyway, let's look at this right here. There's two things on this. Okay, why is... Oh, because I have something typed in the field here. Dumb. Get out of here. All right. So if we look at this button, we see that the first field is called laser. And that's how it knows that when I click this button, it fires the mining laser. If you click the button and it doesn't fire the mining laser, it's because these names are not the same and it doesn't know what the heck you're doing. Also, these buttons have to be on this control panel thing. They can't be like stuck to the floor or something. For some reason, they don't work if they're not actually touching this thing. And I guess this is like conductive or something else. I don't know, whatever. Same thing with the ore collector. We have the button. It's called collector. And if we go down to the ore collector, we can see that I also named the ore collector. So, whoop, yep, see, it's called collector. By default, this is going to be called toggle on. So we just named it collector, and the button collector, and then it works. Now, this material point scanner is a little bit more complicated. You have to write a script for it, and I will include the script in the description. We have a couple different fields here. So let's look at that. By default, this is called active. I named it sense. By default, this is called index. I just named it IDX. By default, this is called scan results. And you can see down here, that's why I'm saying by default. I just called it result. And these have to match in order for the program to work. Material is just mat. Volume is just vol. And I put check, scan as check. And reset, I didn't do anything. Because we don't need to worry about that. So up here, if we go to the things that I added, we see that I added the sense button. So that matches the first category, which, you know, just tells it to turn on. And the rest of the stuff, just make sure it matches these values. So button state value is 1, button state off value is 0, and reset is 1. And this is 0. And it'll work. Now, how do we do the scanner? Well, we just want to make this text panel named scan. You don't have to put anything in this box right here, but just name this panel scan. And that's referenced in the code so that the code can tell it how to get here, right? So let's talk about the third part, and that is the actual code. So I didn't want to, on this ship, I didn't want to go ahead and pull all these YOLO racks out and screw with the programming that's already there. So I just added another panel. This thing is called the bloop bloop YOLO chip socket and the basic YOLO chip. And we just need to connect the data to another data line. So you can see I connected this to the data line that's already here. And then it is all good to go. It does not need power or anything else. If we close out of here. So I'm not exactly sure. Go away. I'm not exactly sure how this is supposed to like actually work. You can see on there, if I click on it, it does nothing. And the ones in alpha, if you clicked on them, it would zoom in. And I'm not sure why it's not doing that. But if we get down here, it says pull down to open. So we go ahead and click and pull down, and that opens this. So it's hard to see what this says, so I'm not gonna like go through it. But if you look in the description, there are 3 lines of code. The first line of code goes on line 1, the second line of code goes on line 2, and the third line of code goes on line 3, and you can just copy and paste. So you just click and you can see the cursor moves to that line of code, right? Once all that code's in there, you can either lock the panel again or it locks itself. And then you should be good to go. So the way to test this is to turn on the mining beam or the sensor. And we're just going to go ahead and drop some ore. And I'm just going to go ahead and slide this in front of the scanner. And you can see it says it's Bastium ore, and there's 1,712 of it. And that's how we know it's working. Or you can go find an asteroid to click on. But it'll also tell you everything that's in the asteroid and all that other stuff. Put that back in my inventory. And that is how to add all of that stuff. Again, if you add the mining laser and you don't upgrade your generators, it's going to kill your battery in like 2 seconds. So make sure you upgrade your other stuff. I will do another video on that because it was a pain in the booty. If you really want to know how to upgrade your generators, you basically just need to add more of what's already on there. So if you take these panels off, you can look in there and see what's there and how it's set up. You don't need to run any cabling because that's already done with this first one. And then they just kind of daisy chain off of each other. So you just slap them, make sure they're lined up, make sure the code is the same on all of these. And I really hope they fix this blue thing because, yes, I took the panel off, but the ship is like, I remember a panel being here, so you should repair this. I don't want to repair it. Thank you very much. So that's how that all works. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments section. Again, I will put the code that I used for the point scanner on there. And you just have to make sure the data all matches up on the side as we said. If you like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up. And if you feel like subscribing, which I hope you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you hit the notification bell, you can be notified every time I drop a new video, whether it's Starbase, Dual Universe, or anything else that I'm currently covering. We're in a little bit of a dual universe content drought, so I'm glad Starbase is around to keep y'all entertained. Until next time, I'll see you out there in space. Stay safe, my friends.